What is going on, my lovely ladies and gentlemen of the world? I hope today finds you well. I am here today to talk about proper team composition using my vast wealth of experience regarding crossover games. To give you my credentials, I was the best Marvel vs. Capcom player in Northern California, taller than 6 feet, that's also fairly overweight. So there you go, you have it. You know you can trust me. Moving forward, basically what you should be looking for are two main, well, so I should preface this by saying, if you are just starting out, if you're looking at this to try and learn more about the game and like try to start out with a truly top tier team that you can take to the top with you, you don't need to be concerned about that. You don't, because you don't know enough about the game to take advantage of why these characters are top tier, and at the level that you'll be playing at, the quality of games you'll be playing with, you can pick whoever the hell you want and you can win with them if you just try to improve at the game itself. And the rest of the stuff will come with time. So if all you want to do is just put together a team of your 3 favorite characters and you're wondering, can I do that in this game? Will it work? Yes, absolutely, unless you're trying to travel and win majors, in which case you're fucked. You can't pick who your favorite characters are, unless your favorite characters just happen to include Cell or Goku Black or Vegeta or 16. I think that's a solid, maybe Adult Gohan in there, maybe. I think he'll flag a bit as time goes along, but we'll see about that. Regardless, so essentially what you want to be looking for after all that, if you've done this and now you're kind of noticing that maybe your team has some weaknesses that people are exploiting, and you want to figure out what you can do to change that, the main 2 things that you need to be looking at is how do your characters operate together in terms of their supers, because you can cancel one character super into another. You can do it with each of the characters in a chain, spend all your meter, you can use a level 3 in there. If you use a level 3, you cannot follow it up. Some characters even have level 5, so technically it's possible to use all 7 of your meter in one chain by using, I mean there's a bunch of different examples of this as well, but just by using a level 1, then a level 1, then a level 5, you can do that. Ginyu has a special level 1 that he can charge up to cost 3 meters if he wants to, so you can do that into a level 1 into a level 3. Various options available, but nonetheless that should be a major consideration, because you can never underestimate the amount of damage that supers can cause when chained together. They all have a minimum damage component, they will always do a certain amount of damage, and generally they're going to do the most damage out of your entire arsenal. And you never want to leave a character alive. You never want to be like, you know, I could spend a meter to kill this character here, but I'd kind of rather not. I'd rather have that meter for later. Like, no. You want to kill them. And so you want to maximize your potential for killing. And if you have 2 characters that chain together very well, but your 3rd character is just impossible to make it work, you can never land a super, either their level 1 or their level 3, then you might want to reconsider that character being in your team, because it's just not working out for them, right? So things that are very easy to kind of show off a bit is with this team. Don't change the colors, who cares? I should have picked some proper assists so I could show those off afterwards, but that's, while this is loading, I'll just say that's the second and most important thing, is how does your assist synergize with your characters? I should have probably talked more about like actual where you should be looking. I'll do that first. When you're looking at team composition, you want to consider the placement of your characters as well. Now, it's fairly difficult in this game, I think, because at least as of right now, there's no character that's really necessarily really weak. And so I feel like overall, so basically what you want to be doing, you want to have a point character, your first character out. They're the one that's, you want them to be fairly efficient without meter. They shouldn't really depend on it at all, but they should be good at building it. And so it's there available for your follow-up characters. That's generally the point of a point character, but I really don't think there's any character in this game that's bad at that. That's like, oh yeah, you don't really want that. Really, ultimately, you more or less have other characters that's just like their assist is too good to want them to not be your assist character starting out. That's more the consideration, not, oh, this character doesn't really fit as a point character, but more like, if you have a favorite character that doesn't really have a very good assist, so like, for instance, I would actually consider 21 to be in here. I don't much care for her assist. Personally, it's just this really short, really avoidable projectile. It doesn't really do all that much for your offense for all the considerations that I'll get into in a bit. So, you might want to consider having 21 as your first character because she just doesn't have a very effective assist. So by and large, that's kind of what you should be looking for in a point character is, I mean, you obviously shouldn't be picking them like, oh, well, they don't have a very good assist, so I'll just put them in point. But if you really want to play a character and they don't have a particularly good assist, well, there you go, throw them in the point position, and now you don't have to worry about them not having a great assist until they, you switch them out with the super or whatever. The second character, by and large, should be your main assist, unless your main assist also happens to be a really, really fantastic character on their own, so I'll just mention that first. Your third character is called your anchor character. They need to be somebody who can operate really well without assists behind them. They just by themselves, they have a really good chance of bringing the game back from the brink. And I don't think there are many characters in this game that are really well capable of that. Android 16, I think, is the absolute best as of right now. I don't think there's anybody better and more self-sufficient than him, because he gets really dirty setups on his own. Most other characters that have that level of dirtiness applied to them generally require an assist to be able to follow it up properly. So he's a really good example as a solo character that can really just carry a game on his own. Assists obviously help him quite a bit, but they aren't necessary. Whereas I feel like there are characters, for instance, I think Hit is one of them, that is just, he doesn't have enough going for him at a basic level to be able to operate without assists behind him. And so it's going to be not impossible, but very, very improbable if you get put in a position where he is your last character and you have no assist to bolster your offense. He might be in trouble. So that's the kind of thing you should be considering when you pick your third character. And so generally your second character should be somebody that is a very strong assist and really helps out your team all around. Now that might also go hand in hand with your anchor character. A lot of people are really enjoying running Goku Black as their third character because he is another character that's pretty damn good all on his lonesome and has one of the best assists in the game. So you can run them both in tandem, but again, if you're running Android 16 last, for instance, his assist is mediocre, I would say. So if you want to run like your point character 16 last, your second character should generally be somebody who has a really strong assist. Now, unfortunately, Goku's kind of my only option here. But he has a beam assist. You see it causes plenty of hit stun, keeps them locked into it for a long time, multiple hits. I'll go into those assists more later and I'll talk more about it. But that's generally what you should be looking for each position of your team, what you should be looking to fill it with. And so that'll hopefully help you actually pick out individual characters and decide where they belong and whether or not there is synergy between them to be able to put them on the same team. So, in regard to the whole super thing, unfortunately, there are many supers in this game that force, this isn't a great example because Goku can angle his beam wherever you want, so this is, again, not a good example. Actually, this might not be a good, oh no, yeah, that'll work fine. So you see, they're knocking them up in the air, right? So I try to use this, that actually did hit because it's in the corner. Alright, let's pretend we're not in the corner, so this will actually work. So I try to switch in, right? He doesn't get hit by 21's assist at all. That, unfortunately, happens depressingly often. It's very, very difficult sometimes to make assists work properly together because of situations like that. Characters will auto-correct themselves, more or less. I think, like, what if I use this right here? Will Goku teleport in? Nope. Maybe it's just because he uses the beam assist. What if I allow this to hit first? Nope. There are certain assists, so I don't really know how this works. There are certain assists that will auto-correct their horizontal position. I assume it just has to do with the range. The game is quote-unquote smart about it, where if a character isn't in range for their level 1 to hit initially, then it'll put them in the horizontal position necessary to do so. The reason why I'm talking about that, why I tried to show it and failed miserably, because unfortunately these characters don't auto-correct themselves in that manner, they will not handle any verticality. So, like, even if a character can, like Cell, I believe, his level 1 super can be used in the air without really worrying about it. I think Frieza as well is actually another good consideration of this. Would I be able to do that with Trunks? Trunks doesn't have an airborne super. Whatever. But Frieza's another example of that, where his level 1, he can use it in the air or on the ground. Either one will work. But even if the character is being thrown up into the air and the ground version won't hit, they will not adjust so that they throw the vertical version and make it hit. So that is something to consider, and a lot of the time that's where things will screw up. Now you may be wondering, alright, so why do you have TN on your team? This is just an example of, like, my quote-unquote ideal situation. So, like, you start out with Android 21, and then you have TN come in, and this forces a hard knockdown. It always hits. He will always adjust. He is the only character in the game that I am aware of that will always adjust his super no matter where the person is on the screen to guarantee that it hits. Every single time, he guarantees that it hits. And it also, again, forces a hard knockdown. So it's basically impossible not to be able to follow this particular super up. Like that. Like, it's always going to hit because it's knocking them further down to the ground. That actually did a substantial amount of damage just for 3 random supers. So yeah, so that's, again, kind of the ideal. I have not seen a better super for switching purposes like that than Tien's. So that was just an example of like the best of it, and then I showed you the Goku Android 21 to kind of show you some anti-synergy a little bit. Now that's really not a proper way to show it off because Goku can angle his beam dependent on where you're holding the stick, so you can pretty much force it to work if you want it to. But still, just showing that off that can happen, and that's something to consider in regard to your character's supers. So, do I have anything else to mention about that? I don't think so. So when you're looking at assists then, you have a bunch of different categories. I would say you kind of have like 3, 4 quote-unquote main categories of assists. I guess 4 if you want to consider Vegeta his own beast, which I feel like you kind of should. So basically you have Vegeta, you have beam assists, you have explosion assists, and you have melee assists. And so I kind of more or less mentioned all of those in their in terms of how effective they are overall, because I would say there are 4 main categories that you're looking at that you want to be considering their effectiveness at when you're trying to pick an assist. So the first of which, and probably one of the more important of which, is neutral. How, when you're just running around wildly, when you're both just, you know, doing all this stuff, you're trying to fish somebody out, you're just moving around randomly, you don't really know exactly what you're doing, you don't have a huge game plan. How does that assist augment that? How does it help you in neutral? And so that's why I would say beams and Vegeta's assists are so high up there, because they are decently fast, they will hit full screen, and if they are blocked, they keep the opponent locked down for long enough for you to then run in and run some offense like that or whatever. Then you have other assists. Tien's is actually a decent, actually Tien and Android 21 are both good examples of this, because there are also like singular projectile, like that, assists, but I would more or less just kind of consider them the worst version of a beam assist. This is literally the worst version of a beam assist. It's only 1 hit, but it's faster than the other beams, but it is only 1 hit, so you're not really getting a lot of lockdown, anything like that. What else? And so anyway, so when you're looking at that, should I mention all this first? Should I talk? No, I'll just go through the categories. So again, how does it augment your neutral? How does it help you? Is it good at locking somebody down, allowing you to then get in safely and start running mix-up and offense on your own without having to worry about getting punished for whatever your method of getting in is? Secondary to that is, how does it affect your offense once you are in? If you're in the middle of, you know, hitting somebody and you have some blocks done, enemy settings. So you've gotten in, and now you're trying to run some mix-up. Now it's over, right? You can't really do much more after that. So you call an assist, and you reset your offense, and you try to run some more mix-up. How good is it at locking somebody down and allowing you to then run a lot of mix-up afterwards? Is it something, again, like Tien's assist, that's not going to do all that much. Look how long he spends actually in block stun. That's going to allow you to run one very quick mix-up, and then you just have to reset your block string and try to either reset that block string into some risky mix-up or use another assist or whatever. Whereas, if you're running stuff, then you call that in, that potentially gives you the time to run 2 quick mix-ups if you have developed your offense well enough. Tien's won't allow you to do that. It doesn't last for long enough. So that's the thing you want to consider. How does it augment your own offense once you are in? How does it help your block strings? How does it help you actually land that hit? That's thing number 2. Thing number 3, how does it affect your Oki? So what I mean by Oki is this situation right here, where you got somebody in the middle of a combo, you knock them down, that does not cause a hard knockdown. News to me. You knock somebody down, now they're getting up, right? That's essentially what Oki is. What do you do when somebody is essentially helpless on the ground and you are allowed to set up whatever situation you would like? Because you know they have a limited amount of options in order to wake up, more in this game than most, but still, they have a limited amount of options. So how does that assist help you in that regard? Now you get to Vegeta again. I should have put Vegeta in here. Let me actually just do that really quickly. Let me try to put together. So we've already seen Goku's. Oh, good. Vegeta's right there. Let me grab... Piccolo's actually good. Well, no, he's not good. Frieza's good, and now I need either Yamcha or Ginyu. I'll take Ginyu. I should grab some other ones. So I'll grab the unique one. So Android 18 is perfect. Gotenks is perfect. There's actually a decent amount of kind of unique ones. So I'll go back to character select after I go through these, and I'll just talk about them. Or I'll just go through them. Whatever. I'll just go through all the assists. Why not? Not all of them. Most of them. I'll go back to character select and I'll kind of mention what each of them has, and if I feel like it's something worth showing off further, no, I'll just talk about it, and you can decide to test it all on your own. I don't want to make this video too terribly damn long, otherwise I'll be here for the next 2 hours just discussing all the implications of each person's assist, and I don't need that in my life. So basically, again, when you're looking at Oki, the reason why I have Vegeta in here, the reason why I want Vegeta in here, is you get this knockdown. Let's just pretend she's been knocked down. Now you call an assist. Look at the angle that covers. It's coming downwards. So there are a lot of assists that if somebody up techs, which I actually now I will knock them down because this is what I have it set to. So you knock them down and they up tech. That will actually avoid quite a large amount of the available assists in this game on wake up. So it's a very decent option to mix up your wake up and force assists to not hit you so then you don't have to deal with them. Vegeta, he doesn't care. If you up tech, you down tech, you delay tech, you are getting caught by some part of that assist. So that's the main thing you should be looking for. And so that's what that's kind of why I mentioned that. Well, I should finish my whole spiel first before I get into this. The last thing, well, I should finish talking about Oki. Well, that's really all I have to say about Oki, is that how does it help you when somebody's waking up to keep them locked down and then run your own offense? It's basically almost an extension of the block string thing, because that's largely what is inevitably going to happen. Is you want to force somebody to block that assist so then you can run mix up off of it. So you're essentially setting yourself up for a block string. The last and completely least important trivial aspect of an assist is how does it affect your combos. The reason why I say this is trivial is because aside from Android 18, and I'll talk about why, every single character can be used to extend a combo in some manner. It might require some clever little trickery to make them work, because some assists have more startup than others, but by and large, very, very easy to use an assist for a combo extension. And so that's why I'm not going to talk about it, I'm not going to dwell on it at all, because it is so easy to just tailor your combos around certain assists to maximize your damage. And so that's why I also consider it the least, is because it doesn't matter what assist you're using aside from 18s, it can be potentially used for combo extension. So that's not really a huge consideration. You can make it work. So you should be considering the other three mainly, and then finally, once you have your team together, you feel like your synergy is really good, then you start looking for combos that are specific to your team. So anyway, with all that done, let's talk about each of the types of assists. So again, the reason why I have Vegeta here is because I don't think he is ever going to get usurped as having the best assist in the game, because for all 4 of the categories, he's top-notch. It locks them down for longer than any other assist in the game. It covers pretty much every possible angle. It even manages to hit full screen, obviously, if they're jumping around. Ooh, that first shot didn't, so that's actually somewhat hurtbox dependent. Like, who was I testing it on first that it didn't? I think it was actually Frieza, and it caught them with the first shot, so that's actually something to consider. Just be aware that there are some characters that don't get caught by the first shot. Nonetheless, really good in neutral. It's not the best for neutral, but it absolutely is the best for Oki, absolutely the best for block string mix-up potential, and one of the best for combo extension potential, because it keeps them locked down for so long. They're just stuck in these projectiles the entire time. So it allows you a lot of potential for different follow-ups. Beam assists come directly after that. Characters that have those are Cell, Tien, Goku, and Goku Black. And then you kind of start to get with the projectile assists, like I mentioned, which are kind of more or less almost ghetto versions of them. But, oh, I didn't pick Piccolo, did I? Damn it. 21 has one. Vegeta, Blue Vegeta has one. It's basically Big Bang Attack. This handle goes the same angle as that, but it's just one single very large projectile. Piccolo, again, but he's a little special because his kind of floats around a little bit. It doesn't move very quickly. Like, it's not like Android 21's, which just shoots out really quickly and goes across the screen. It floats a little bit, it tracks the opponent. Unfortunately, were it not possible to super dash through this projectile, I would actually consider it one of the better assists in the game. But unfortunately, you can't just do that and it'll blast straight through the projectile, and it really sucks, and it kind of trivializes the assist. And that had, again, a lot of potential, which is just completely nullified by one button. So that's nice. So the projectile assists I kind of just consider to be the lesser versions of beam assists. The explosion assists, which is why I have Frieza out here, do what they do. They just cause big explosions. Now Frieza has one of the better ones because he will kind of auto adjust the explosion to an extent. You notice it won't hit full screen, but if I'm right here, he throws it close enough to actually hit it, and if you're right next to somebody, he throws it close enough that it's localized and it forces the person into block stun. I would say Frieza and Trunks have the best version of the explosion assist because Frieza, like I mentioned, has that little bit of auto track property, and Trunks, similarly somewhat, he will lunge forward a little bit before he throws out his explosion to give it additional distance. Now, the downside to this is, again, they're pretty much all one hit. I don't think there is a single assist that's an explosion that does not do more than one hit, so it's briefly available for block stun. As mentioned, they don't go full screen, so it does have limited applications in neutral, but they are very good for Oki because, again, it will cover both up tech, whatever. I mean, it won't cover delay tech, but it will cover normal tech and up tech because the explosion has a large amount of verticality to it. So those, by and large, decent, but I feel like, you're always going to want a very strong neutral assist, and those don't supply the amount of usefulness that Beams or Vegeta will supply to your team. Thirdly, you have melee assists. Now, Ginyu's, there's not a lot of them, and there's kind of differing versions of this. Let me actually switch out Frieza for... Well, you just saw Ginyu, so you saw his basic dash. I want to switch out for... Okay, Yamcha's good. And I want Gohan. I think Gohan would have been the other direction. Yep. That one works fine, because I believe Teen Gohan and Adult Gohan both basically have the same assist, if I remember correctly. But so Yamcha and Ginyu have very similar assists, but the difference, the actual quality of them, is massively different. Yamcha's is a 5-hit string, comes out very quickly, so it's basically, again, almost, I would say it's actually one of the better assists in the game, because it's essentially a beam assist that doesn't cover full screen. But it's even better than some of the beam assists. It's definitely better than TNs, it's better than the singular projectiles. So Yamcha has, I would say, the best melee assist in the game, and it's very, very useful. Is this? Okay, cool. So, Teen Gohan, Adult Gohan, I think Blue Goku as well, all have an assist similar to that. Hit, I would also kind of add in there, because it's, while it's just a normal basic kick, it kind of has the same property overall. Not very useful. It causes a very minimal amount of block stun. Obviously, the range is borderline useless for anything outside of block strings or combos. And those I would consider to be the worst assists in the game. By and large. Categorically, I would consider those to be the worst in the game. So, let's get into the more or less unique assists. Android 18. Well, I guess we can't do Android 18. Gotenks is kind of, sort of, let me make him not guard. Gotenks kind of, sort of, another, like, singular, oh, damn it, projectile. But it causes this kind of lockdown and explosion. And so thanks to that, it has more implications, and I feel like thanks to that property alone, it deserves a like kind of asterisk for that. So I just wanted to show that off really quick. Krillin, again, more or less more or less projectile based. Unfortunately, that projectile can instead become a Senzu Bean if you have a lot of blue health. I don't know exactly how the properties work. If you're interested in that, you can explore that further and figure out the information on your own. But again, Krillin has a somewhat unique assist in the context of the game, because that what he throws can differ based on the situation, and you have to build around that. You have to be aware of that. Kid Buu is another one that has a somewhat, oh, that was nice, unique assist. Let me just go through really quickly to see if there's anybody else that I really want to kind of talk about. I guess I can show off Piccolo's, why not? We're already here. But I think that's more or less it in terms of all the various kind of assists that you can get. Oh, I didn't show off. My bad. I didn't even show off Android 18s. So yeah, we can just throw out Android 18. So I'll talk about that one first, since I completely forgot. So just to make sure I don't forget again. Android 18 has, I think, the only defensive assist in the game. Now, the reason why I say I think is that both Teen Gohan and Adult Gohan the move that they use has natural invincibility to it. So I don't know if the assist version of it does. So if it does, you can potentially use that assist defensively. Now, 18, the only purpose of her assist is defensively. It does not have a hitbox. Let me actually get close enough so I can show you. It does not have a hitbox, but whenever that green aura is active, it will absorb any hits that go into it. It also gives you meter if it does absorb any hits. So pretty damn useful, and it's definitely something that I don't think a lot of people are ready to expect. And so they'll be hitting strings during it, and you can just hit your own buttons while that's going on because, again, 18 will just absorb whatever hits are coming in. Piccolo, I'll just show off his projectile really quickly. That's a really poor example. It will track the opponent. I guess I should. Oh, that's actually decently hard to get away from. But unfortunately, even though the hitbox is pretty good, the tracking's pretty good, the speed's not that bad. You can just super dash straight through it, and that sucks the life out of the assist, and that really just sucks overall. So just, you know, something to consider. Like I said, I feel like that would, were it not possible to super dash through that, that actually probably would have been one of the better assists in the game. So Kid Boo's, I feel like just deserves an honorable mention because of this. That only happens if the projectile hits. So if you're too far away, which I'm not right now, it will not land. As you can see, it's fairly slow, so it can be very difficult to time in the middle of like a combo or whatever to make it hit, and then making sure both that it hits during the combo and that all 4 of those hits actually land during the combo can be a very difficult thing. But because if it does land, god damn it, it forces all of those hits. Look how long he's in block stun for. It is an amazing assist to use for block stun and then to run proper mix-up off of it. Probably one of the best in the game. So that's why I kind of wanted to mention his, because his is unique. It's like a solo projectile, but then it explodes into a multi-hitting projectile, and it's really, really strong block string-wise. Very limited usage for everything else. So anyway, in regard to those assists, essentially I would rank them, I kind of already did this, but Vegeta's is the best, beam assists after that, explosions after that. Although Yamcha kind of, I mean, again, this is a very, very generic. It's not meant to be, you know, like a solid definition. Like, not every beam assist is better than every single explosion assist. Tien has the worst beam assist in the game. Projectile assists are more or less just really, really bad version of beam assists. Melee assists are not the same. Yamcha, again, his is actually more useful than most of the other assists in the game, whereas I would consider both Gohan's and Ginyu to have borderline useless assists. And then you have special applications like Krillin or Gotenks, which mileage may vary based on your team composition and what kind of things you can figure out along with those assists. So by and large, I would say, like, again, Vegeta best, beams next, explosions next, melee, assists next, and then you can kind of just figure out for yourself where you would put the unique assists in there. But yeah, so anyway, I did actually talk for longer than I wanted to. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them on the video, and I will respond to them, I promise, because it's kind of your duty if you're trying to put some stuff up, help people learn. You got to do that to the maximum potential, right? So if you have any remaining lingering doubts, any other questions you might want to ask, I will happily respond to them, so let me know. Anyway, that's it from me. I'm out. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Hope you find a good team.